Well, good morning, everyone. I really appreciate y'all having me. Todd called me on Friday. I just started my business. I mean, last week was my first week, and Todd called me on Friday, and he was like, "Hey, we don't have anyone presenting on Wednesday. Can you do it?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And I was like, I don't even know if I know enough about my own business. And he was like, "Well, that's kind of the point." And so I was like, all right, well, let's do it. So I'm I think, just start by saying the why I opened my company. Am I the only one presenting today? All right, so I might get to talk a little while longer. 6 minutes? Oh, okay. All right, where to start? All right, so I graduated Lubbock Christian in 2009. I entered the job market in 2010. And I mean, from pretty much the beginning, I knew that 8 to 5, cubicle, inside all day it wasn't for me. And I knew something was wrong, but I'd never really put a label on it until I think it was last year. I got to run an errand for work. It sounds so silly, but I'm stuck inside all day long, and I got in my truck to go to Home Depot or something. I can't remember what it was. And sat down in my truck, and I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm about to, get out of the office and go driving. And I think that's when I figured out, I was like, I gotta find something I can do outside, working with my hands, and be my own boss, call the shots and do what I want. And so then it clicked. I was like, pest control, that's what I'm doing. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It shouldn't, it makes no sense. Pest control, it could be, it's probably the most random job anyone could pick to do, but I have some family members that do it, some family members in Midland, San Antonio. So I started talking to them about it, and they were like, man, it's a pretty good gig. You get to work outside, you can make a decent living out of it. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So last year I started, did a lot of traveling back and forth from Midland, San Antonio, did a lot of training, got the required experience, studied a lot, took the test and got certified. So I got certified earlier this year and opened my company. Started an LLC, and then I was faced with what every startup is faced with. How am I going to brand my company? How do I want to go about? How am I going to differentiate myself? And so I started with, I started paying attention to a lot of pest control companies. And is there anyone here that owns a pest control company by chance? Okay, good. So I started paying attention to other companies and started looking at what I liked, but mainly what I didn't like. And one thing that I noticed right off was just how they brand their companies, their logos, and a lot of them, it's just not my style. When you see a army tank shooting a cockroach, it's just, I'm not a fan of it. I wanted something simple, something streamlined, and so that's kind of where the name Basic and, kind of the just simple logo I went with. And then I started thinking about, okay, how am I going to actually run my business? How do I want to deal with customers, and how am I going to be different from everyone else? So then I started thinking about some past experiences I've had with A, pest control companies, and B, just service companies in general. And I just remembered how much I hate it when people try to upsell to me. I guess that's what you call it, upsell, where they, might present a problem and then overcomplicate it and basically just try to sell you more than what you really need. I thought of a funny example. Me and my wife took our dog to the vet like 2 weeks ago, and to hear the vet talk, I mean, you thought my dog should have died last week. I mean, he was like, you haven't done this, you haven't done this. He needs this vitamin, he needs that vitamin. And it was gonna be like, thank goodness I was there, because it was gonna be like $600 for everything that they were wanting to do to my dog. And my wife would have done it. You know, she's gullible. And so I think about that, and I think just these companies going to these houses, to these customers, and people, you know, average people don't know anything about bugs. They know they don't like them, and they know they want them dead. And so I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm never gonna upsell. I'm gonna present the problem, and you know, this is how we need to take care of it. And I'm gonna take what could be a complicated problem and just, you know, make it as simple as possible. And so that's kind of, you know, that's kind of how I want to do my business, just simple, effective, and basic. So that's where the name comes from, and I have mixed feelings about it, because a lot of people go, well, why did you name it Basic? You know, are you just doing the basic jobs? And so I'm gonna hear both ways, but you know, hopefully, you know, this meeting and just my website and Facebook people will understand that I called it Basic because of how I do business, not because I just do the basic jobs. So, like I said, starting out, I'm going to be, as far as spreading my business, I'm going to be obviously Lubbock is the goal, is to get really established in Lubbock, but I'm going to be targeting a lot of the surrounding communities. Brownfield is going to be a huge one for me. They don't have a pest control company in Brownfield, and so, you know, they have to, Lubbock companies, they'll go to Brownfield, but they won't, they schedule all their jobs for one day. So if anybody has another problem, it takes them 2 months to come back out. And so I went to Brownfield on Monday, you know, just went knocking on doors, and that was one thing that I kept running into was, well, company X, Y, and Z comes and sprays us, but whenever we have a problem, it takes us, you know, 1 to 2 months for them to get back out here. I was like, well, I'm planning on coming out here once a week. So, you know, Brownfield, Levelland, shallow water are going to be big ones for me. I'm also going to be doing, as far as marketing is concerned, I'm trying to keep my startup cost down as low as possible, which can be difficult when you're trying to grow your business, but going to stick with Facebook, knocking on doors, and hopefully word of mouth will be, you know, it's just going to be huge for me. What else? I think that's pretty much it. How am I doing on time, Todd? Huh? I'm out of time? Okay. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, that's basically what I wanted to share. It's really hard to be, as a pest control company, it's really hard to do things different. You either kill the bugs or you don't. You know, it's really hard to differentiate yourself, but I think I found a pretty, you know, decent way to, you know, make myself different and hopefully stand out from the other companies. So that's it. I guess we'll open it up for Q&A.
You hit that point rightly. I've been asking the questions pretty much to most of the speakers in this forum. It's differentiation matters if you are in a market or business like this, which you knew, and that's what you are aiming. How are you going to educate your clients and customers that I'm going to do better than X and Y and Z?
It's not...
Without offending the previous players, right?
Right.
It's going to be your peers.
Right, yeah. And, you know, that's one thing that I'm going to have to really pay attention to and be careful. You know, they're my peers. I don't want to step on any toes. I'm not going to do anything to make them look bad. And as far as me saying that I'm going to do a better job, it's not necessarily true. Because like I said, you either kill the bugs or you don't. What I plan on doing is just, I'm the sole operator. And so whenever you call Basic, you get me. It's my company. I think that, with that being the case, you might get better service compared to other companies, because other companies send out technicians, and to them, not always the case, but to them it's probably just a job, and they'll probably do a good job. But with me, it's my company. Like I have to do a good job. I have to have good service. And then as far as explaining the problem, I'll just tell them what it is. I'm not going to use complicated terms and complicated chemical names, and that's pretty much it. Does that answer your question? Anybody else?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
As someone that's in a market where they are the sole provider, like you are, I face the challenges you have.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that, I'm from real estate, I'm a broker here in town. One of the hallmarks of real estate is people do business with someone they like and they trust.
Yes, sir.
And your attitude that you're not going to try to confuse people into an upsell, that's laudable. Thank you very much for that.
Yes, sir.
One of the things that I faced when I was a new real estate agent in 1999 was I didn't know anyone here. I didn't have a circle of a sphere of influence or a circle of friends like a lot of the other agents did. And I started just like you did, knocking on doors, sending out flyers.
Yes, sir.
And not sure if my experience will transfer because the market itself has changed radically since I got into the business, but I would encourage you, just consistency.
Yes, sir.
Contact the same people regularly, stay in contact with them. That's one of the things that I ran into as a new agent, is that I would tell people, I'm going to be different. I'm not going to bug you like these other people are. I'm not going to send you something every week or call you on the phone every 2 weeks, thinking that would make a difference, and what they did is they broke out. So I would encourage you, be consistent in your marketing. Pick a marketing strategy and stick with it.
Okay.
That's one of the key things that I found was successful for me. Now in that line, have you picked a strategy? You've said Facebook and you've said social media, but are you farming a particular area? Or are you just beginning to work on that?
Honestly, I'm just beginning to work on it. I've never started a business before. It's new to me, so I'm having to learn a lot of the accounting aspects of it and the tax side of it, and I'm having to learn all of the different areas of business. So right now I'm really trying to figure all of that stuff out. And then kind of what I was saying earlier, maybe when I start getting some clientele and start building my business a little bit, then I'm really going to start focusing on, okay, how am I going to market my business? What am I going to do? Am I going to do commercials? Am I going to, go advertise? Is that kind of what you were saying? Like I said, just Facebook for now, and then figure it out from there. So that might be a bad way of doing things, I don't know, but that's all I have right now. Do you have any recommendations?
I just keep going back to consistency.
Yeah.
If you contact someone, stay in contact with them. Let them know you're there. Don't necessarily walk up to them and say, hey, I'm here. But
So what would you recommend? I had so Monday was my first day that I actually went knocking on doors. Was my first day, and had pretty good success. I think I got 3 businesses, and this was in Brownsville. I got 3 businesses and I think 5 or 6 houses that said that they would, that they want to use me. This one business in particular is a gym or something, and she said, yeah, for sure, I want to use you, because she had the same problem that I was saying earlier, like just getting people to come out here. And she's like, yeah, let's do it. And she said, follow up with me tomorrow, and because I'll forget. I was like, okay. So the next day I called her, and she was like, oh yeah, see, I told you I'd forget. She's like, I'm going to look into it right now and I'll call you right back. Well, didn't get a call back. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't really want to call her today because I'll be bugging her. And so I'm trying to figure out like what's an appropriate time frame from one contact to the next, What would you suggest?
that's something that's unique to each each individual person, it's hard to say. You almost have to use your best judgment.
Yeah.
And get a feel for that. One thing that I just thought of, going back through my history of use of products like yours, and I used to use a pest control company here in town because they had a technician that would come out. He would just call and say, hey, I'm going to be on your street on X day. Would you like for me to come by and do a preventive treatment for you? Absolutely. I mean, it was like clockwork. He would call me, let me know, and it was that mental reminder. And he retired, I think. I hope he retired. I hope he didn't die because he was a great guy. But he stopped calling. And I mentally never made the switch to be proactive and call them. And it just dawned on me, it's been 10 years since I've used them.
Wow.
You know, all it took was him calling me for me to use that
Wow,
product.
okay.
It was just that regular reminder, that consistency.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's considered upselling, but if you get people on a regular maintenance program, because you're going to need the money 6 months from now just as bad as you do today.
Yes, sir.
So once you've got it on the books, you don't have that when should I call you back issue.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know anything about your business, but I know that my wife doesn't want the bugs dead outside.
Yes, sir.
And so having somebody come by, and I know they're coming, and they call and remind me, whatever it is,
Yes, sir.
that's good. You'll
Okay.
find your appointment book filling up. And the only other thing is when somebody says, let's get together sometime or come by some, your calendar does not have a sometime. It's got specific dates and times.
Yes, sir.
So be specific when you set that in there.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Have you thought about LinkedIn?
Yes, sir. And that's on the horizon. I think I just finished my Facebook page yesterday or day before or something, and then LinkedIn will be next. Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. I don't know, whichever's next.
My wife was office manager for Terminex for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And it's a limited contact service business. Yes, there are contracts, but it's a limited contact. So that initial contact is really important. She had the best telephone voice I've ever heard. It's because people, like you said, people want somebody reliable that knows what they're doing. But that initial, or handling the recurring calls with the tone of voice that lets them know you're going to help them,
Yes, sir.
is really important.
Okay.
And she was real successful. So initial contact, and then as you hit these satellite communities, establish base connections in the communities. I'm from Brownfield, I'm fourth generation from Brownfield.
Really?
So there are people there that know everybody.
And that's one thing that I ran into on Monday was how friendly, so friendly. That small town, and whenever I would go to a business and tell them what I'm doing, just starting, and they're like, leave me a stack of business cards, I'll hand them out to everyone. Leave a stack here, and it was kind of a little overwhelming. Like I was not expecting that. So that was very encouraging, just to have those base contacts.
It's going through a good time right now, so everybody has that optimism.
Okay.
It's a really good time to work that market.
Works for me.
Yeah.
I had just a couple of comments. You said that you're having to learn everything all at once. I've heard several entrepreneurs when I've asked them if there was one lesson you learned starting up a business that you would want to tell someone else, what is it? And almost without fail, they said, hire a good accountant from the get-go. And I'm not an accountant.
I'm glad you said that though, because that's one thing I was going to ask y'all, if y'all could recommend a good accountant.
And I'll let you visit with folks afterwards. But the second thing is take advantage of the Small Business Development Center on the South Loop out by the Science Spectrum, because they have free courses or things on how to get your business, how all these things that you worry about they have workshops, and I think most of them are in the evenings, where you're either free or real minimal cost on how to do it and do it right, and it might give you a little better sense of what you're doing and how to go instead of feeling like you're trying to do it all yourself. So there's some great advisors
Awesome.
out there that will help you at,
Mhm.
you know, free of cost. So
Awesome.
take advantage of that too.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Over here? Oh.
Kind of along the same lines of what a lot of people have been saying, but you know, in college I had a plumbing service business, and stuff goes wrong, especially when you're the one guy. And just some advice from my experience is that communication. So if you are going to be late, or if something does come up, just communicating with that customer. I can't tell you how many customers I had just from saying, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to be here between this small time, you know, because you have companies that, hey, I'll be there between 7 and 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll sit at my house for 5 hours.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, that communication, that's a huge customer service thing that me as a consumer, I want.
Absolutely.
But along the lines of education, have you put any thought into some kind of blog or educational platform that you can make a part of your Facebook, just kind of educating? For example, my dad has a plumbing company, so he'll have, you know, short, easy, winter months are coming, you can take these steps to prevent X, Y, and Z. Have you put any thought to something like that?
I have not. And you know, that is one thing that if you get on pest control companies, or you know, whether local or nation chain, whatever, a lot of them have that kind of stuff. You know, when you want to get sprayed, why you want to get sprayed, what the chemical does, how long does it last, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that I will explore for sure.
Okay, I've actually got a couple of things for you. It's Jennifer, right?
Right.
What Jennifer was saying about the Small Business Association, my company's going through some of the same things you are. We're actively involved over there, and that's good stuff over there. And I know that in April, in the evenings, they're going to have, I think, 4 classes about certain, 4 kind of educational opportunities. So you might jump on that quickly if that's something that you're interested in. The second thing I was going to say is what the guy over there about he mentioned about the plumbing company, and about you may be making some educational post or something on your Facebook. My company is a technology company. We write software and we do websites and that kind of stuff. So I can tell you that if you do that, and if you have a website and you do it on your website and stuff, that'll really help you with your search engine rankings and stuff. I just did a Google search for basic pest control Lubbock, and there's a basic pest control in Georgia.
Yeah, there is. And that's, I actually made a post about that on my Facebook page last night. I have a website. It's just right now we're having trouble linking the website with the domain. So we're having trouble with that right now. And just the whole website thing has kind of been, I know this is wrong and a horrible way to think about things, but the whole website thing has been so secondary to me right now. So Monday, I don't work at my company anymore. Friday was my last day. So Monday I wake up and it was kind of my first day of freedom, and I was gonna take it easy. It's my first day off and I don't know how long, and I was just gonna kind of take it easy. So I woke up and drank some coffee, and I was like, I can't do this, I gotta do something. And so I started to, sit down and work on my website a little bit, do some clerical stuff. I couldn't do it. I was like, I cannot. And I was like, I gotta go. Put on my jeans and my boots and drove to Brownfield. And so, just the whole website thing has been so, it's like one of those things that I know I have to get done. I just haven't done it yet.
Well, if you want to talk to me a little bit right after, just
Okay.
for 5 minutes, we won't take everybody's time. I can give you some advice along those lines if you want to.
Yeah,
Another
absolutely.
thing I was
Great.
gonna say-
What's your name again?
My name's Mike.
Mike.
Mike Jones. My company is Solution Zero over here in Lubbock. You talked about calling the lady, and she said, well, call me back tomorrow, and then I'll call you back, and you're wondering, well, should I call her back?
Yes, sir.
If she doesn't call you, and you don't call her, you're guaranteed you don't have the sale.
Right.
Okay, so at some point, you just have to say, well, and think about this, if you do call her and aggravate her, you don't have the sale.
Mhm.
So nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Whether you call her or you don't call her, as long as you're respectful and you don't leave a bad feeling, then, you've nothing to lose by calling her. And
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell from the way we're responding to everybody that you're respectful and you're not gonna have a problem with a bad feeling, I don't think.
Okay.
So I would say that, the sale's not there one way or the other, so might as
That's a
well
good way
call
of
her.
looking at it. Yeah.
Okay? And I'm a software designer or programmer, so I just think logically,
Right.
that's what's gonna happen.
Yes, sir.
And the other thing is actually a question, because I'm supposed to ask a question, and I actually do have one, is you said you want to basically maintain that personal touch throughout your business, and you're the guy who takes the phone calls, you're the guy who goes to somebody's house. Okay, well, at some point, either you're gonna reach up your capacity at that, or you're gonna have to hire folks to do that. And so what do you think about going forward? Are you gonna grow past your capacity as an individual to where you have to have other folks? Or
Yeah.
are you just gonna cap off at that point and say, okay, well, I've got 250 regular customers, I can service those regularly, and that's all I'm gonna do? So what are your thoughts along those lines?
Actually, me and my wife are expecting. We have a baby due in July, and so she's going to be staying home, and she will be taking phone calls and making the schedule. So that will help a lot, just free up some of my time to focus on the customers, on the clients. Moving forward beyond that, I don't want it to get huge. I really don't. I've spent the last 6 years managing 30 college students. And the thought, I'm sure this will change, but the thought of one of the reasons I wanted to do this was to get out, be my own boss, be my own guy. And the thought of managing anyone else, I'm just like, let's hold off for a little bit. But I think eventually, the number I have in my mind is 2 to 3 technicians. When I get to that point, I don't want to have any more than that. Because then it becomes more of me managing and worrying about those guys, making sure that they're doing a good job representing my company how I want it to be represented, instead of kind of the purpose of this would, for me to get outside and work with my hands and just enjoy what I'm doing, But like I said, that's down the road, and 2 to 3 technicians is what I have planned right now. Yes, sir.
If you don't have a meeting to go to or something else on your agenda, I think one of the first things that the majority of people do when they come into their office in the morning is check their email.
Yes, sir.
That may be a solution in re-communicating with this lady.
Follow-up email.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's not a bothersome voice if they have that attitude.
Yeah.
And it gives you an opportunity, you need a response.
Yes, sir.
And you can word your email, to let them know that, you need a response.
Yeah. Absolutely. I like that. Thank you.
If I may, this you would have thought of it, nobody spoke about it. When you start in a business segment like yours, it's the price differential matters. So have you analyzed that? Because of course you take pride that you're going to do the best and basic service, given that is the situation. The thing that would sell you without upselling you is the price differential you offer.
Absolutely. So the name of the game for me right now is volume. Obviously, I'm a company that no one knows about and currently unemployed. And so I need the most volume I can get. So I needed to price, probably 85 to 90% of my business is going to be general preventative sprays. I mean, that's just the way it is with pest control companies. And so I got in fact, it was with who was it? The Small Business Development Center. I did meet with them a few months ago, and they gave me a price analysis of all of the pest control companies in Lubbock. And so then I just did some follow-up calls to see, hey, what do you guys charge to do an inside-outside spray? And the most expensive was $125. The second was $90. There was a couple in there that I think were $80. And so I have priced mine at $75 for an inside-outside spray for houses smaller than 2,500 square feet. And then if you want to get set up on a quarterly schedule where there's no contracts, I'm not doing contracts. I know people hate contracts, but I'll just call you every 3 months and see when you want me to come spray. The price goes down to $65. So I have priced myself very competitively compared to a lot of other companies.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank y'all so much.